I love that. So we talked about trauma, thought
Mhm.
systems. We talked about values. We talked about just protecting yourself. We talked about consent. I want to kind of get into, let's say we're in a healthy sexual
Mhm.
relationship, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes, even if we're in a healthy sexual relationship, sometimes things happen that prevent us from having healthy sex, expressing sexuality in a healthy way. What are some of those things that kind of hinder us, that come into our experiences, and how do we handle it physically?
First off, is let's talk about expectations.
Yeah.
So when you're even in a healthy sexual experience, you feel safe, you feel comfortable, you feel like you can be vulnerable and have intimacy with someone, that the expectations that we've placed there, not having open communication, so our communication, that goes back to language. If it's not there and it's not present with your partner or partners, then that can definitely break down what can then be the foundation of healthy sex. So communication is going to always be key. And communication is not just what we say, but what we hear.
Yeah.
What's listening. Hearing and listening are very different. So really listening to your partner or partners, or if you're in a solo, listening to yourself, listening to what's around you, what are you taking in to be healthy for you? So having communication, open communication, the expectations. Do I have an expectation that my partner will do X, Y, and Z? Well, if you ain't tell them or tell her, how do you expect them to know?
Yeah.
If you don't show people, how do you expect them to know? So again, really kind of saying, what are my expectations? What are my boundaries?
Yeah.
So
That's good.
boundaries, of doing things because, hey, I think this is going to please my partner, even though this is not something that I want to participate or I believe in, or I don't feel comfortable with at this time. Maybe I'm just not comfortable with it yet. I'm not in that space. So have you expressed what those boundaries look like for you? Feeling comfortable expressing yourself. That, you know what, hey, I'm an anything goes kind of person. Are you expressing that? And are you doing it in a way that feels comfortable for you, but also feels comfortable for others? And you're not going to always please others.
Yeah.
There'll be times when you're in a healthy sexual experience, whether if you're partnered, where, hey, I like this, but maybe now's not a good time. Especially those that might be postpartum, or, if you're in a different phase of life, or someone that's going through their mid 40s and 50s, perimenopause and menopause, if you're going through some type of chronic health disorder at this time, maybe now is not the time. So what are the other areas that we can be sexual and sensual? It doesn't always mean that there's penetration, but can we be more intimate where, hey, I like how you touch me. I like how it feels. I like being able to do other activities, that we eat good together, and that brings enjoyment to us. So what are those other areas where we can still connect, and I can still connect within my body, but then also too, again, that open communication that I'm having with my partner or with myself. Because again, if you're not having communication with yourself of saying, you know what, I'm so closed up, or I work so much that I'm not experiencing life
Mhm.
because I'm working too much, or I'm doing things that are preventing me from having more sensual experiences, then, that can definitely hinder you.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Um, and sometimes your body can be so much in this kind of hyperdrive of
Mhm.
survival because it's doing what it needs to do to survive, that you don't recognize, when I'm not in that situation, how do I feel? When I'm
Yeah.
in this situation, that could just be even when I'm in the presence of this person or this group of people or this type of environment, how does that make me feel? When you start to recognize those things within, I start breathing a little heavy, I get a headache, my stomach turns, paying attention to your body,
Mhm.
you can start to see the separation of, okay, this feels different for me now. So yeah.
This comes into counseling so often in
Mhm.
regards to, for some one partner, it is about the sex. Like every time I'm asking you to have sex, you don't want to have sex with me, and this is the problem at this point.
And is it
So,
because I don't want to physically have sex, or I don't want to connect with you? So I
mhm,
think it's really about looking at it as, I need that, because a lot of times, and oftentimes, but not always, males and females will feel like, hey, you're not having sex with me, but what they're really saying is, I need to connect with you. And this is, I think, again, reframing our words of what can I do to support you,
mhm,
and then taking that off and allowing the individual to be able to support us. So
right.
again, saying, hey, okay, you know what? We've taken sex off the table. We like to eat out. We like to go dancing. We like to go to sporting events, do things that are more fun. I'm connected to
Yeah.
you.
I love that. I love, because what I hear you saying is that even though we think that healthy sexuality is just a physical act, it's not. It's so much deeper than that.